Amelio Castro, you collaborate with Athletica Vaticana. You're a Paralympic wheelchair fencer, and you're also from Colombia. How did you come to Rome?
Well, I believe everything started with the accident, because after the accident, I had to face a lot. I had to confront my reality, my life. I realized that I had been following certain paths that, in the end, weren't really what I wanted, especially in a moment like the one I had to go through, being so close to death. That led me to question a lot of things, and I realized that maybe I wouldn't have liked the way people would have remembered me if I had died. So I started working towards creating the kind of legacy I would want to leave behind. I think that's what led me to share my story and to do things that could inspire others. I think it's all of that.
What happened in the accident, Amelio?
The accident happened on November 6th, 2012. We were in a car with some friends, and I think the main factor was something people always say, but when you're young, you don't really take it seriously. Don't mix alcohol with driving. And that was, I believe, the fatal mistake we made. I wasn't driving, it was my friend Gustavo. But the main cause was that he was drunk, and speeding led to that terrible accident. Today, I even call it a wonderful accident, because it's been that whole process that has shaped my character.
And the consequences were serious. How did it affect your health?
Well, there were 6 of us in the car. I should clarify that I was the only one who was seriously affected, and rather than seeing it as something tragic, I say that these are God's processes. It took me 7 years to fully understand it, but I believe it's part of God's plan, because once I started to accept it, I realized it has actually been wonderful. It has given me a purpose in life. Yes, I lost the ability to walk due to a spinal cord injury. For a long time, I was focused on standing up, on walking again. But then I began to understand that even in a wheelchair, I could still move forward. I could still grow. I realized that while I was worried about my therapy and recovery, life wasn't waiting for me. As I always say, time waits for no one. That realization motivated me to stop seeing this as a tragedy and instead view it as an opportunity to see life from a different perspective. So I consider it a privilege. I also feel grateful because in the midst of that solitude, I found faith. That has been a fundamental pillar for me. I began to deepen my relationship with God, and His grace has never left me. I discovered sports, which started to bring my dreams and hope back. I already had hope, but sports gave me back the desire to live, the motivation for everything. I began to see that I could still be a citizen who can contribute and give a lot. And that's what I'm working and fighting for, to make those purposes a reality. The things I've achieved may not seem like much to me, because when I reach them, I know it's God's grace that allows me to achieve them, and it's not so difficult. But I'm very aware that without God's grace, none of this would be possible.
Do you remember the moments when your passion for fencing was born?
Well, my passion for fencing has been a constant process. I also believe that I've done my part because I always say God gives you opportunities, He helps you, but you also have to help yourself. So I think the passion came. First, I asked God for a sport where I could get results. And when I discovered fencing in my very first competition, I got results. I managed to beat someone who had been practicing fencing for a long time. Then, in my first national competition, I won a silver medal. The passion was also born because it's a combat sport, and I think it allowed me to fight. The constant fight gave me a way to express something that was already inside me, always struggling, always overcoming obstacles.
Paralympic athletes face an additional challenge compared to athletes without disabilities, don't they? Do you see it that way?
Well, actually, I'm a big fan of the Paralympic Games, even more than the Olympic Games, because yes, we know that in the Olympics every athlete tries to give their absolute best, but then we have the Paralympic Games where the same thing happens. All the Paralympic athletes give their maximum effort, but they also face the additional challenge of their health. So I believe it's a double effort. First, we have to fight against our own bodies, and only then can we compete in the specific sport itself. So while we admire the Olympians very much, in a way we, the Paralympians, become something like superhumans.
And why do you think it's so important to also focus on Paralympic athletes during the Jubilee of Sport?
Because that's what a Paralympic athlete gives you, hope. You see, Paralympic athletes, people who no matter their health, situation or physical condition, always keep moving forward. For example, at the Paralympic Games, I was amazed to see athletes who didn't have hands or feet, yet they were able to control their electric wheelchairs with their mouths, and they had medals hanging around their necks. That filled me with hope. If they could achieve it, I can achieve it too. And I believe that's exactly what Paralympic athletes can bring to an event as important as this Jubilee. They transmit that hope.
Thank you very much, Amelio Castro.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and also to everyone who's listening, because it's thanks to them that all of this is possible.